Qiang Jin Jiu. Book 3, Drunk in Wild Songs. Chapter 267, Chrysanthemum Tribute. Chu capital was due to observe the chrysanthemum appreciation in the 9th month, but as Yang City was hit by a drought and the imperial court still owed part of the capital officials' monthly salaries, everyone inside and outside the palace complied with Li Jianting's decree and did not brazenly organize a chrysanthemum appreciation banquet. Fu Man had initially found some people to cultivate several hundred pots of precious chrysanthemums in his own residence, but now, he dared not send them in any more. During the 3rd quarter of the hour of yin, Fu Man woke up. As the junior eunuch waited on him, he rinsed his mouth and changed his clothes. Eunuchs had to stay close to their master's side to serve at all times, so naturally, they could not have any odor on them. Their collars were all false collars, so they could immediately swap them out when they got stained with sweat. Their socks and shoes were velvet with tight openings that did not make any sounds when they walked. Fu Man cleaned himself up and dressed neatly, then set his authority token before his waist and strode out of the door. He saw that there were still stars in the sky, so he went to the duty room close to Mingli Hall and asked a eunuch who waited in attendance in the bedchamber last night, "Did Her Majesty sleep well yesterday?" The eunuch was in the midst of having breakfast with tea. Eunuchs like them did not dare to eat as they pleased while on night watch, for fear that they would need the lavatory at night and that their breath would stink, so they only dared to have some snacks to fill their stomach before they went in. The eunuch was famished, but when he heard Fu Man's inquiry, he hurriedly stood at attention with hands respectfully by his sides and replied, answering to Lao Zuzong, "She slept decently yesterday, turning over 4 times. Contrary to expectation, she did not call for this humble slave." Fu Man estimated the time and reckoned that Li Jianting ought to have woken up by now, so he stood under the eaves and waited to be summoned. After a while, he saw Feng Quan stepping out. Even so, Fu Man merely smiled and nodded as a greeting of sorts. As if he did not notice this, Feng Quan bowed to him as per etiquette. Her Majesty had the mind last night to summon the Lao Zuzong to wait upon her. Bowing, Feng Quan said unhurriedly to Fu Man, "Lao Zuzong, a double blessing is about to descend." Fu Man could not figure out what Feng Quan had up his sleeve. His suspicions were roused and he did not dare to answer without thinking, so he merely gave an ambiguous reply, "I hope it is as you say." Having said that, he did not wait for Feng Quan to continue before he lifted the hem of his robe and entered Mingli Hall. The hanging drapes in the bedchamber had just been bundled up, and the windows all around were wide open. Fu Man could sense the chill from the falling frost in the early morning. With small, quick steps, he walked over to the bronze mirror, where he saw that Li Jianting was already done dressing and dolling up. Under normal circumstances, he was most certain to sing praises at this moment, but he was feeling cautious today and merely said, "Your Majesty, breakfast is ready." Li Jianting wore her usual expression, the Huadian between her forehead was eye-catching as she held up the golden hairpin. "Just a light meal is fine. This humble slave dare not forget your Majesty's instructions and has specially gotten the court of imperial entertainments to choose the simple dishes to make." Fu Man bowed and made to support Li Jianting. "It's just some small steamed twist rolls and silky jade tofu." Li Jianting stepped out of the bedchamber. The memorials on her desk were all newly endorsed last night. She glanced over the pile that she had specially picked out. "Tell the Grand Secretary later," Li Jianting pried apart the twisted roll, "that the Grand Secretariat can skip the memorials paying obeisances, there's no need to pass them on to me. Like this from Yutan of Lu Province. He is so tediously long-winded in his memorials, and all it has was line after line spouting words of flattery. What a waste of time." Upon hearing this, Fu Man, who was serving Li Jianting as she had her meal, said with a smile, "This humble slave has also heard of this Excellency you. I heard this is how his memorials are. Even Secretariat Elder Hai couldn't stand to read them in the past." Li Jianting did not answer. She finished her breakfast and hurried to attend the morning court session. The topic of Libay's advancement to the east was broached during the morning court session. The scouts in Dan City had reported the increment of troops at the Biwan military drill grounds. However, before the Ministry of War was done presenting their military report, the Ministry of Personnel started bickering with the Ministry of Revenue, wanting the Ministry of Revenue to hurry up and pay out the arrears in monthly salaries. The Ministry of Revenue was at their wits' end as they had no money, and they dare not push the issue to Li Jianting. All they could do was endure the scoldings in silence. Midway through the rebuke, an imperial censor from the Chief Surveillance Bureau impeached the local officials for dereliction of duty in their negligence to administer public order. The new prefectural prefect of Hubei province had not even taken office for half a month, and already a riot had broken out in Hubei province. The monthly salaries were docked to provide aid relief to Yang City, the official from the Ministry of Revenue said. In times of national crisis, we ought to work as one for a common purpose. Your monthly salaries have not been issued, but the same can be said for the rest of us from the Ministry of Revenue. All of us are starving. How can you just rebuke us? You people have been auditing the accounts, and you have checked Dan City and Wu City. The properties of the Pen and Han clans have been sealed off for confiscation, and with the Fei clan of Chuan City taking the lead for the rest of the remaining cities in making up for the field taxes. The official from the Ministry of Personnel retorted, going by the budget at the start of the year, there is enough to pay out the monthly salaries at this point. So where's the money? Where has all the money gone? You have to give us an explanation. First we have the passing of Her Majesty the Empress Dowager, followed by the ascension of Her Majesty the Emperor, so ask the Ministry of Rights, where has the money gone? They have all been used right where they are needed. There's also the renovation of the Imperial Ancestral Temple, and the reconstruction of the residential district. The Ministry of Works. Stick to the topic of the monthly salaries, the official from the Ministry of Works butted in sharply. Why digress? We are upright men who fear no gossip. The accounts we investigated were all reviewed by the Ministry of Justice and the Court of Judicial Review, then audited by the Grand Secretariat and reported to Her Majesty. We have held nothing back. Liang Qiushan bowed to Li Jianting. Your Majesty, the Ministry of Revenue's accounts are all submitted to the Grand Secretariat every month, with memorandums issued by the Grand Secretary and endorsement by Your Majesty. Every process goes strictly by the book and is carried out in stringent accordance with the rules. Goes strictly by the book? Your Excellency Chang Shen, I doubt that's the case. The imperial censor from the Chief Surveillance Bureau raised his hands to pay his obeisances. Your Majesty, this humble subject is just about to impeach Xue Zaiyi, formerly of the Ministry of Revenue, for taking bribes. This one shout brought a solemn silence upon the entire hall. The few groups of people who had started arguing all turned their heads over. Xue Zaiyi stood silently among the crowd of ministers, his eyes never twitching even once. Li Jianting cast a glance at Xue Zaiyi. After a moment's pause, she said, Isn't Xue Zaiyi now the custodian of the Palace Granaries? Replying to Your Majesty, that is correct. This person has been bungling his work ever since he was in the Ministry of Revenue. He has slandered the imperial court repeatedly and has never been entrusted with heavy responsibilities. The imperial censor lifted the hem of his robe and kneeled before continuing, that is, until a few months ago when Xue Zaiyi colluded with the merchants and took advantage of the general amnesty that Your Majesty granted to bribe the palace eunuchs and obtain the post of custodian of the palace granaries. The golden butterfly at Li Jianting's temple swayed lightly as she straightened up on her throne. Xue Zaiyi brazenly made a fortune in this position and gained himself 3 courtyards on Donglong Street. This person is shameless. He even collaborated with the palace eunuchs to falsify accounts and resold the treasures he pilfered from the palace granaries for a grand total of 200,000 taels. A clamor instantly broke out in the hall. Yang City's aid relief was merely 100,000 taels, and Xiao Qiye's bribery case that involved the Quan City silk during the reign of Xian was only 8,000 taels. Who could have expected Xue Zaiyi to embezzle 200,000 taels in less than 3 months after he assumed office? Rat, the longtime Grand Secretariat officials felt dizzy. Li Jianting's expression grew increasingly darker. The treasures Xue Zaiyi resold netted 200,000 taels, but he had Fu Man report only 80,000 taels to her, which meant that they had misappropriated all the remaining 120,000 taels. This humble subject also wants to impeach the Vice Minister of the Court of Judicial Review, Xue Zaiyi. The imperial censor switched targets and pointed directly at Xue Zaiyi. Xue Zaiyi abuses his power and exploits public office for private gain. He is high of rank, yet he reflects not upon himself. He is in your Majesty's favor, and yet he understands not your Majesty's heart. He lets a rat into the granaries and acts in cahoots with Xue Zaiyi. He is truly most abominable, reprehensible, and condemnable. The audacity! Li Jianting snapped. Everyone in the hall fell to their knees. It was so silent one could hear a pin drop. Li Jianting stood up and turned to the side before the throne, saying as she pointed at the imperial censor, as an imperial censor responsible for the important task of supervising and impeaching the various officials, you ought to verify the facts. You are keenly aware that you hold sway over the narrative presented to the imperial court, yet you use this as an excuse to discriminate against those who hold dissenting opinions from you. If you ask Zhen, you're the abominable one. The rank of an imperial censor was not high, but he was a deterrent force to behold from top to bottom. Even Emperor Guangcheng did not dare to rebuke the imperial censors back then. It was a one-way street where only the imperial censors could reprimand him, not the other way round. Except for that punk Li Jianheng during the reign of Tianchen who, in order to stabilize the situation during the bribery case, lost his temper at Fu Lin Yet. Other than that, there had never been an emperor in Great Zhou who dared to offend the imperial censors on the imperial court. Sure enough, the imperial censor immediately said, "This humble subject has conclusive evidence, yet your Majesty insists on siding with the criminal minister. Is that not a failure to distinguish between right and wrong, good and evil? Xue Zaiyi is the imperial preceptor." Li Jianting said frostily. "How can Zhen allow you to bring such false accusations against Zhen's mentor?" Kong Qiu's heart sank. As he prostrated himself, he exchanged a glance with Sen Yu. Xue Zaiyi took bribes and perverted justice. Zhen is now ordering the Ministry of Justice to investigate. You must get to the bottom of the matter as soon as possible. As for Xue Zaiyi, Li Jianting left with a flick of her sleeve, "It's all a bunch of lies." "Your Majesty," the imperial censor said sorrowfully, "the Xue clan, if not eliminated, will go on to become a faction. Xue Zaiyi is clearly shaping up to be the next Hua Saiqian." Xue Zaiyi lay prostrate over the ground with his head lowered, never once saying a word. As evening approached, it began to rain in Chu capital, too. Feng Quan waited in attendance outside Mingli Hall and vaguely heard Kong Qiu in the midst of remonstrating. "Xue Zaiyi may be your Majesty's mentor, but he's implicated in Xue Zaiyi's bribery case. According to the law, he has to be suspended pending investigation too," Kong Qiu said. "Your Majesty rebuked the imperial censor on the imperial court today, which was a violation of the precepts of the Grand Ancestor. That truly should not have happened." Li Jianting had remained silent after dismissing the court session. No matter how Kong Qiu spoke with urgency, she did not answer. Kong Qiu got up and bowed down. Seeing that Li Jianting had no wish to answer, he straightened up and bowed again. "I have already made up my mind," Li Jianting said. "The Grand Secretary need not persuade me any further. Feng Quan, help the Grand Secretary out." The drizzle in Chu capital continued uninterrupted. Feng Quan supported Kong Qiu by the arm and personally held up the umbrella for him. Kong Qiu strode out of Mingli Hall. The strong wind stirred up several fallen leaves. He turned all of his exhortations into a single sigh and gently pushed Feng Quan aside. Without even wanting the umbrella, he stepped into the rain by himself. Feng Quan hurriedly lifted the hem of his robe and chased after him, holding the umbrella up high as he sent Kong Qiu all the way out. Upon hearing the wind, Fu Man, who was on the other side, hurried to Mingli Hall, where he kneeled even before he stepped through the door. The instant he kneeled, he wiped his tears with his sleeves. He wanted to cry injustice through the hanging screen, but he had not even opened his mouth when a teacup suddenly came hurtling towards him from the interior and smashed to pieces on the ground before him. You hanker after fame and position, and you colluded with an imperial court official to misappropriate treasures from the palace. Li Jianting rebuked through the curtain. Men, drag this deceitful slave out. Fu Man had heard the details of the dispute during the morning court session from his informant in the duty room. He hardened his heart and kneeled on those shattered porcelain pieces. With hands on the ground, he hastily kowtowed, "Your Majesty! Your Majesty, please hear this humble slave out. That Shui Ziyi was transferred on the recommendation of the Excellencies from the Ministry of Personnel. What has it got to do with lowly people like this humble slave? Oh, Your Majesty," he cried out miserably and continued, "what have I done to deserve such injustice?" Li Jianting brandished her sleeves and said nothing, looking as if she was still furious. Fu Man then kowtowed with loud thuds as he cried, "This humble slave's lowly life is nothing to bemoan about. Your Majesty may just go ahead and punish me. However, the lords on the imperial court are all men well versed in the classics. How can they trample upon this humble slave like this?" Fu Man already had someone to clear away the stuff that Shui Ziyi had paid as tribute to him. He was usually cautious, so he would not send all the good stuff into the palace. Instead, he had them all hidden in his residence in Chu capital, with his godsons looking after them. Now that this had happened, the Ministry of Justice was definitely going to investigate the case and check him out. Thus, he had immediately sent someone to pass on the message when he was still back there in the duty room. Upon hearing Fu Man's wretched cries, Li Jianting looked as if her sense of compassion had really been evoked. Fu Man seized the opportunity and was about to recriminate the Chief Surveillance Bureau for seeking credit for themselves under the pretense of remonstrating when he saw Feng Quan hurrying back. Feng Quan stood under the eaves and kept away the umbrella. As if he did not see Fu Man pleading his case, he reported to Li Jianting, who was inside the chamber, "Your Majesty, while on the way, this humble slave saw several junior eunuchs hurrying along with flowers in their arms. It was only after questioning them that I found out they were delivering those flowers to Mingli Hall." Fu Man found those few eunuchs familiar. Each of them was carrying expensive chrysanthemums in their hands. He then looked again at Feng Quan, who was standing with head held high, and suddenly felt an ill sense of foreboding. Li Jianting lifted the hanging screen and walked out. With a frown on her brows, she asked, "I've already given the instructions not to waste time and energy planting these chrysanthemums. Who was the one who sent them in as tributes? The duty room never reported them either." The eunuchs kneeled and kowtowed, answering, "Your Majesty, Fu Gonggong was the one who gave the instructions." Fu Man was burning with anxiety as he refuted, "How dare you spout nonsense with the Son of Heaven here? It's my turn to be on duty today, so when have I ever instructed you to do such a thing?" The palace still owed the outer court ministers their monthly salaries. Li Jianting kept up with the order she issued when Yang City was hit by a drought. The palace still pursued a policy of frugality, and there were signs of doing away with the customary need for extravagance. Moreover, Fu Man was currently implicated in the pilfering of the palace granaries, and this was right when he feared getting caught up in another trouble. By piteously pleading his case here, he meant to abandon Shui Ziyi and make him the scapegoat. He wanted to make a big issue of how he himself did not dine on delicacies and was instead consuming soybeans every day, but he did not expect the sudden turn of events and found himself in even more of a predicament. "Castrated traitor, shut your mouth." Li Jianting's expression grew increasingly grim as she said to the eunuch in an icy voice, "Tell me the truth. The eunuch answered in terror, "Last night, Fu Gongong sent someone to pass on instructions to this humble slave. He said the chrysanthemums from his manor were to be sent into the palace together with the ones purchased by the court of imperial entertainments. These flowers, being valuable, all have to be well taken care of. Once your majesty gets off court session today, we should send them to Mingli Hall to relieve your majesty's boredom." Fu Man's limbs were icy cold. In a flash, he snapped, "How dare you frame me without proof? Since you say I was the one who sent someone over, where is the note? Where is the authority token?" The eunuch raised an arm to wipe away the rain. Fu Man's interrupting bellow gave him such a fright that he nearly slumped paralyzed to the ground. The person who came looked familiar. He is the Lao Zuzong's godson. How would this humble slave dare demand a token? Fu Man clenched the porcelain piece, which dug into his palm and turned it into a mangled pulp of flesh and blood. The moment Fu Man heard that the eunuch did not have an authority token, he replied immediately, "So it's really a load of bullshit. I have served the imperial family in the palace for nearly 20 years, and even though I may be stupid, I know the rules. No one does their duties and errands without a token. Your Majesty, Your Majesty." He held up his own authority token and shuffled forward on his knees, looking at Li Jianting as his cries grew increasingly louder. "Even if this humble slave dies today, it has to be a justified death. Your Majesty, this humble slave also finds this matter odd." Feng Quan lifted the hem of his robe to kneel before Li Jianting. "Fu Gongong helms the affairs within the palace and is your Majesty's trusted right-hand man. It would absolutely not do to let him be framed with false charges. We have to first ascertain the truth." He looked at Fu Man. "Why don't we summon that godson who passed on Fu Gongong's order before your Majesty so that your Majesty can see what's really going on?" Fu Man deciphered derision in that delicate, handsome face. Without waiting for Fu Man to respond, Li Jianting commanded the guards, "Go. Find and bring the Lao Zuzong's son over." She stressed the words Lao Zuzong so heavily that it chilled Fu Man to the bone. Within a few moments, the guards brought the man to the front of the hall. Rainwater washed over the steps. This godson lowered his head and prostrated himself over the ground in the rain, shivering all over. Unable to get a clear look, Li Jianting said, "Lift your head." He let loose a whimper and clung close to the ground, shaking his head frantically as if he had been given a scare. The guards at the side pressed him down by his shoulders and lifted his head up. Li Jianting did not recognize him, but the junior eunuch in the rain said, "That's him, Your Majesty. It's Ying Shi Gong. Ying Shi, the army supervising eunuch during the reign of Tian Chen." Feng Quan quietly reminded Li Jianting. "The Prince of Dongli held him in custody and brought him into the capital. He has long been imprisoned in the Ministry of Justice's prison." Fu Man looked at Ying Shi in astonishment. As the guards approached him, he snapped to his senses and shouted, "This humble slave has been wronged. Your Majesty, this person is definitely not." Chafing against the ground, Ying Shi started bawling. He clung to the ground, choking and crying, Lao Zuzong, save me, save this son of yours." Li Jianting yanked away the hem of the skirt that Fu Man touched and looked at him. "How very capable of you. You can even extricate a eunuch that the Ministry of Justice convicted." As expected of the Lao Zuzong that thousands of people looked to for backing. A chill spread all over Fu Man's body. He knew death was certain this time. Your Majesty," he murmured, "please show mercy on account of old ties. You and Zhen are merely master and servant in the palace," Li Jianting said, "so where are their old ties to speak of? Zhen showed you great favor, yet you do not know to feel gratitude. You committed such a grave mistake that Zhen is well justified in killing you." As the guards dragged Fu Man's round collar choked him by the neck. Panicking, he kicked out with his legs and struggled. "Your Majesty! Your Majesty!" Feng Quan signaled the guards with his eyes, who promptly gagged Fu Man and dragged him out the fastest they could. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. It didn't work. Shen Zequan looked back and glanced at Fei Shen. Fei Shen nodded. Allegedly, the emperor rebuked the imperial censor in anger on the imperial court, causing such a stir that it became the talk of the town. Master, didn't she reward Zhang Qingshan earlier for the sake of pitting herself against Xue Zaiozhuo? This is such an excellent opportunity, so how did teacher and pupil become on such good terms again? Shen Zequan looked askance at the bright mirror. The jade earring on his right ear was dark and obscure. He contemplated it over for a moment. I have underestimated the emperor. Yao Wenyu watched under the eaves as the raindrops dripped. He suddenly brandished his arm and brushed away the entire wiki board of wiki stones. The black and white pieces instantly splashed into the rain, where ripples soon covered them up. Feeling the metallic taste of blood in his throat, he coughed a few times. The tree that stands above the forest will be blown over by the wind, the soil that jutted out of the riverbank will be washed away by the rapids. From what the emperor said on the imperial court, she meant to both use and depose Xue Zaiozhuo. End chapter. Note, hour of yin is 3 to 5 a.m.